Hey, Algebra 2. So just to be clear, just only do the first page. These second, third, and fourth pages, don't worry about those. We're going to actually go back to those when you guys come back from break. So really, just this page here, okay? So I'm going to do a few examples. You guys can finish the rest, and then we'll continue on Wednesday. All right, so degree 3. So basically, we need to find an equation or create an equation based on what it says. And we want to put it in standard form and factored form. The ultimate goal eventually is to be able to make a quick graph. Okay, so first thing is this degree of 3, so that means that we'll have x cubed. But then we also have zeros of 4, minus 5, and 1. So what we can do is first let's do f of x, name the function. Okay, then we know that our factors, we'll have 3 of them because we have 3 roots. The first one will be x minus 4, because remember it's the opposite of the actual root or 0. Okay, the next one will be x plus 5 for the same reason, and then x minus 1. Okay, when I multiply all these together, because there's 3 factors, it's going to be a degree of 3. Okay, so this is factored form. And to get it in standard form, we just have to multiply it out. Okay, so I'm first going to start over here on the right. I'm going to multiply those two together. So it's going to bring this down. Okay, and multiply this out. So x squared. You can always use the box if you want to figure this out. Then it's going to be x times negative 1. And then plus 5 times x is 5x. So negative 1 and 5x will be plus 4x. And then the last term, 5 times negative 1 minus 5. Or you just FOIL, do which way you want. Okay, but then I have to multiply x minus 4 and x squared plus 4x minus 5. Now I can do, again, the box, and this would be a 2 by 3 box if you want, and do it this way. Okay, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to take the x term and basically distribute it. So x times x squared, x cubed, and then x times 4x would be 4x squared. X times minus 5 minus 5x. Okay, then what I have to do is distribute the 4 now. So first the 4 minus 4x squared. And then to the other 4x minus 16x. Oops, I'm running out of room there. I'll just bring it down. Then minus 4 times minus 5 is plus 20. Okay, then combine like terms. Okay, so I have 4x squared and minus 4x squared, so those will cancel out. Okay, so first I'll have x cubed, and then minus 5x and minus 16x, that's minus 21x. Those are done with that. Okay, then my last term is 20. And this is not one of my terms, that was me demonstrating the box, so don't include that one. Okay, so then basically my function will be f of x equals x cubed minus 21x plus 20. That's the standard form. That's the factored form. Okay, so, we're going to look at a function that we're given a point this time. So we can't just write out the factors like we did in the last step. And sorry, I had to kind of repeat this because I messed up the last time I did it. All right, so we can't just write it out like this, because if we have a point, there's a possibility that the number in front could be different. Okay, so this is how we're going to set it up. So first, set it up the same. We know this is x minus 4, x plus 5, and x minus 1. Now that number right there, let's actually make a new point. Let's do minus, actually let's do plus 14, because it doesn't really work out the way I want it to. So let's do 2 and positive 14. Okay, so what we don't know is there might be a number here, because we're given a point, so this number in front, the leading coefficient, could be different. So to figure out what that is, I'm going to plug in the 2 and the 14. Again, I'm going to plug in the 14 for y and the 2 for x. So we'll have 14 equals a times 2 minus 4, and 2 plus 5, and 2 minus 1. So again, all I did was plug in the x and the y. Now let's simplify all that. 2 minus 4 minus 2. 2 plus 5, 7. 2 minus 1, 1. Okay, multiply again. Minus 2 times 7 is minus 14 times 1, minus 14. But then again, we're solving for a, so divide that both sides by a. And we get negative 1. So that means the a is actually negative 1, and not just a 1 by itself. Okay, so now I'm going to need to simplify it. So first, here's the factor form. I have a negative 1 in the front, times x minus 4 times x plus 5 times x minus 1. That's the factor form. That's good for that part. But now we need to actually multiply this out to get the simplified version. So take some time, multiply this out, and then pause the video and then try it yourself and then come back. Okay, I kind of messed up here and had to redo it. But again, the steps are pretty much the same as the last problem we just did. So you should end up with x cubed minus 21x plus 20 just like last time, except now we have this negative 1, which we just have to distribute here at the end. So then we have f of x, because remember it's the same function, so same title, f of x minus x cubed, or negative x cubed minus, plus 21x, because we're flipping the signs now, and then minus 20. And there's our standard form version of that equation. Okay? So now I'm going to go over the next two. So now this one, I'm actually going to do this on a separate sheet of paper, just so we still have room. Okay. This has a degree of 2, so we'll have x squared. Okay, but then it says the zeros are at minus 2, or minus 7. Now, if it's x squared, and we have only 1 0, now a degree of 2 should have 2 zeros. So what that means is that when we write out x minus 7, we're going to have 2 of them. Because it's a degree of 2, so there should be 2 intercepts. Okay, but again, those are the same intercept, right? So technically it's only 1, but we need to put them together like this. Squared. And that's important because now we know that it's going to bounce at this point. Okay, so now, again, I've got a point, so I've got to set it up with that point. So we're going to solve by plugging in the negative 9 here. Okay, and then putting the negative 4 here and solving for a. So negative 9 times a, or equals a, times negative 4. And I apologize, this is actually plus 7. Okay, because remember it's the opposite. So plus 7. So negative 9 equals a times negative 4 plus 7 is 3. So then 3 squared is 9. Divide both sides by 9. And again, we end up with negative 1 as our a. Okay, so now f of x is equal to negative 1 times x minus 7 squared. Okay, that's our factored version. Okay, then multiply it out to get our other version. So x minus 7 times x minus 7. So first we need to multiply that out. So x squared minus 14x plus 49. And then last step, distribute that negative 1. So we'll get negative x squared plus 14x minus 49 f of x. Okay, and there's the standard form version of that equation. Okay, now going to the next one. Degree of 4. But then it says there's a bounce at 5. So remember what that means is that it goes to 5 and then bounces off. So that means it has a multiplicity of 2. In other words, one of our factors is going to be x minus 5 squared, just like we did with this one. Okay. So now, set it up the same, and again we have a point, so we're going to have to plug that in. So we'll do f of x is equal to a, because we don't know what the leading coefficient is. Then we'll have 0 is the first one, so if it's just 0, it's just x. Okay, then x plus 3. And then x minus 5, but squared because there's a bounce off of 5. So it has a multiplicity of 2 there. Okay, so now we're going to plug in that point. 108. And then plug in 1 for x. So 1 here, 1 plus 3, and then 1 minus 5 squared. And then just simplify. Keep going. Okay, go ahead and solve the rest on your own. And you should end up with a is equal to minus 2. So check this over, make sure you followed the steps right. Okay, so now we're going to take f of x, minus 2 goes in the front. We first want to do the factored form, so we'll have x times x plus 3 times x minus 5x, or x minus 5 squared. You could also just do negative 2x out here, and then x plus 3 times x minus 5 squared, and then f of x equals, just like that. Okay, but then again, you're going to have to multiply that out to get the standard form. Okay, and I'll let you guys do that on your own. But just remember this, we're going to in order to multiply it out, we're going to have to expand it. Okay, and we're going to have to do that. So we'll multiply those out. So I'll post the answer, pause it, try it on your own, and then check back. Okay, so this last part, what I did here is I multiplied the x minus 5 together, and I got this here. Okay, and over here I can distribute that 2x because there's no square out here. I can go ahead and, so I did 2x times x, then 2x times 3, and got that here. Now in order to multiply all this together, because I've got a lot of x terms to deal with, I decided to do the box, keep everything nice and organized. So take a look, see if you all matched up, and the reason of course I did that is because it makes it really nice when I'm adding up those like terms, and I can go straight from here to here is my standard form version of that equation. Okay, that's it.